recording.
Oh,
I just started like 20 seconds ago.
okay. So for the miniseries, like I said, I'm going to be using the general rule set for Chronicles of Darkness, except for like changes. Now, to do those changes, like I said earlier, like I don't want to like write everything that's possible because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 4, 8 times 4.
32.
It's like 32 different combinations of things, and I don't want to write all of those. So I wanted to kind of get your guys' feel for what you're interested in. If you know that a character in the book is based off of you, you do not have to play that character. I'm not asking for that. But anyway, so this is going to be boring for you two, or you can even help me out a little bit if you remember stuff. But for those of you who haven't finished the book, the basic premise is at some point in like the last 10-ish years, the government came forward and added an amendment to the Constitution acknowledging magic being real. In that amendment, they also basically say that the Constitution protects humans. And if you have magic, you are not human.
Oh.
So it immediately created like a second class of citizens called posthumans. Posthumans are you spent your formative years as a human and then developed some kind of natural gift, either during puberty or later in life. And that's what makes you post-human. You were human, then you gained your power, blah, blah, blah.
Became something else.
Yeah. And so there's an organization within the world called PLEB, the Preternatural Licensing and Enforcement Bureau. And they kind of like, if you want to use your magic and make money doing it, you have to like apply for a license. And they can decide to, if they decide that you are a danger to human society, it's perfectly legal to just shoot you in the streets.
Pleb's great.
Yeah. You know, I mean, that's kind of like the cold climate that the world exists in. Now, that being said, the cosmology is also, I wouldn't say unique. Stop being humble about it. It's unique in the fact that there's the material world, which is the world we currently live in.
Mm-hmm.
Layered over that are the primal and the orphic. Now, the primal world is kind of like your generic, like spirits, shamanism, animism things. Things in the primal world have power and significance based on how significant they are in the material world. So a rock that's existed for 500 years has more energy than a rock that just recently split in two. So now it's two rocks. Or like dogs and cats are probably more powerful than like tigers because there's very few tigers in the world. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Orphic realm, which is the realm of dreams, is based on human belief. The more people who dream about or imagine a thing, the more powerful that thing becomes.
Santa.
Yes, Santa is a huge deal in the Orphic realms. But which Santa? Because everyone has a different view of Santa. So Santa could be numerous things. But those exist over our world. So the Orphic realm is based on dreams. So like if you Hank are having a dream about being eaten by a pillowcase in Germany and you are having a similar dream in LA, those two locations are close to each other based on the nature of your dream. Whereas like the primal realm, like where a building is always in relation to where a building is in the real world. It might be different depending on how people feel about it or whatnot, but like it's a 1-for-1. Like if you go to the primal, you have to walk wherever it is you would usually go. If you go to the Orphic, distance is based on association.
Okay.
On concept.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like two sides of the same coin. They're both equally close to the material world. Within the lore of the world, the primal realm existed before humans. The Orphic realm existed after humans. So the Orphic realm is considered one of the youngest. There is a third one that is very, very new, and that's the digital realm. The internet is a realm all of its own. No one has physically been able to cross over to it, but we can interact with it. So it's a nascent realm. So like there's a character in the book called the admin, and his spirit companion is a sentient computer. And so that's kind of like, it's a burgeoning world. So there are supernaturals associated with the digital realm, but it's literally the newest one. So not a lot of is known about it. Now, going out from there, you have the Fae and the Nether. So the Fae realm is much like the primal realm, except for the Fae. Actually, let's go even further out. We'll do Fae and Nether in a bit. So you have the celestial realms and the infernal realms. Okay? So the celestial realms have always existed, and the infernal realms have always existed. You know what I mean? Like each god has their own celestial. That's why they're called the celestial realms. It's not just one world. And the creatures that live there could be said to be like the gods that we worship in the material realm, but seeing as they are so far away and never come to the material realm physically, like Odin could be like a 6-armed serpent that we just have legends about Odin being a certain way. You know what I mean? Like they're very far out. Like it's very, there's very few beings who could travel all the way to the celestial realms or all the way to the infernal realms, but they have agents kind of like in it. Now the difference between the celestial realms, if the celestial realms are what are called hot realms, their power from the conception, like if you're an angel, you have all the power you're ever going to have. It can't lessen or become greater, right? But your power is always your power. Like you could get tired from spending it, but like eventually you will go right back up to where you were. The difference is the infernal realm, you gain power by consuming others, or consuming others' power, or absorbing power. So like, so that's considered a cold realm in the fact that you can lose all of your power, or you become completely powerful depending on who you consume. But there is no power that comes from within. Like a demon has no internal power that they have not taken from something else. And that's how the energy flows. It's the drain on one end, which is the infernal realms, and then the source on this end, which is the celestial realms, and it flows through the realms like that. In between them is the Fae and the Nether. The Fae realm, even within my own mind, I don't think I've decided like how it came to be, but it is a world that is like ours. Like if you were to cross into the Fae realm in Coulter's house, there would be a Coulter's house in that place. But once you left, you wouldn't be guaranteed that it would be Coulter's street and then lead to another street. You know what I mean? Like it gets confusing, and unless you're Fae, you can get lost very easily. They have true magic, so they can just innately do magic, the Fae. I mean, depending on what kind of Fae you are, you have different... Is this boring?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Depending on what kind of Fae, like if you're a nymph, you probably have charms and enchantments and like illusions and whatnot. And if you're a puka, which is a puka in the book, you're a shapeshifter. You know what I mean? But it's all natural. You know what I mean? And like the celestial realms, as a Fae, you have as much power as you're ever going to have. The difference is you can lend it to others.
Wait, go back. Who can lend to others?
Okay. So that's why Fae contracts are so big for them, and why reneging on said contracts are bad. Because if I say, here is a gift, a little bit of my power, you do this for me, I will give you this, and then you renege on that, you lose that bit of your power.
Like the Fae does as well?
The Fae, well, you renege on it, the Fae gets to collect more.
Okay.
So like if you don't keep your end of the bargain, the Fae can then take more from you. And that's kind of what they're banking on. But the Fae have to be very careful that they keep up their end.
Because
So
they
that's
don't want
why-
to lose what they've given.
Yeah. So like the most powerful, like it's all backbiting and, you know, like, and they love a good war.
Who doesn't?
In Tucson specifically, it's not based on the seasons because we don't have really strong seasons here. It's based on elevation. So there's the Deep Queen that exists underground in the aquifer. There's the King in the Valley, which is Tucson itself. And then there's the King on High, which is all of the mountains. It's very similar to what I did for Changeling.
Yeah.
So that's familiar, but that's so, and again, so you make a promise to a Fae if you know, one way, it's all very transactional. So Faes are always looking to trick their way into more power. Then the primal realm, and you have to eat, you know what I mean? Like you can become more strong, but it's all based on what it is in the physical realm. So if we were to go through and read 2,000 tigers, the tiger spirit would become 2,000 tigers stronger, and so on and so forth. The Orphic realms, and then there's the Nether realm, which is where all dead things go. And so the Nether realm is very much so like the human realm, I mean, Fey realm, in the fact that dead things can gain some form of life through exchanges. So like a ghost might go, okay, I will, do this. I'll go spy for you, and in exchange, you'll give me some of your life force. So I get to feel more life, and like you can become more powerful that way, or just existing long enough to where you don't go insane. Like the longer you stay a single consciousness, the more powerful. Those are wraiths and blah blah blah. But basically, the Nether realms include all. So, like, if you die and go to heaven, you don't necessarily go to the celestial realms. You go to a area in the Nether realm that is like heaven, until there's not enough of you left to keep existing. In which case, you just become energy in the Nether realm. Same with like hell, purgatory, all those things. Like hell, there's a hell in the infernal realms because there's a devil in your infernal realms, but it's not necessarily where you go when you die. So those are the realms.
Got it.
So why I have to explain that whole big thing is there's 4 classes of people. There are humans, who are just normal humans, and humans can gain power in one of 2 ways. They can either become a runic, or they learn literally a language of magic that they can write out spells to do magic. It's time consuming, but they can do magic through these runes. And it's a combination of celestial runes and infernal runes and fey runes. Like, you draw a celestial rune which powers the spell, and then you use like a fey rune to like give shape to it, and then like an infernal rune to like stop the spell from happening. You know what I mean? And so like you learn these runes. So the more runes you know, the more powerful you are, and you can, through runic magic, you can make like wands and stuff like that you can then use a spell in the moment. But that's how runics work. They are still considered human though, because their power doesn't come from them, it comes from these runes. There's also invokers, which are basically warlocks. Like, you make a pact with a fae, you make a pact with a celestial, you make a pact with a demon, and they give you some of their power. But your power is then fully on the whim of the thing you got it from. So if you piss off that thing, no power.
Makes sense.
So you're kind of not a slave. It depends on what you like. If you were an invoker of like the primal realm, like it might be bringing a steak to a dog every day. It's like what you have to pay for it, Then you have post-humans, which I, for like gaming purposes, I created a post-human for each realm because that's how games work. But really, in the end, there's 3 major groups. There's hackers, who are post-humans who have some kind of attachment to the digital realm. So like they can talk to technology, like they're really good at technology. Vampires who have a infernal disease in them that gives them power. Witches who have natural magic. They're just born with magic. They don't have to use runes to do spells. They just have to use their own energy. And then oracles who can see the future. I kind of tied them to the celestial realms because the celestial realms are realms of order. Anyway, that's a game mechanic. They're not actually associated with the celestial realm.
Okay.
And then muses, who they can make people better at stuff through singing.
Right.
And I tied them to the Orphic realm because like dreams and like belief.
That makes sense.
Like they believe in you, so you're better at stuff. Like that's their gift. So those are post-humans. So you have the most rights within the human society as a post-human, because whereas you have magical abilities, you are still mostly human. You can't turn into like a bear and attack somebody. So as a post-human, you can obtain a license to use your magic and get paid for it. Only post-humans can do that. So like if you were an oracle or a witch, like you could make potions for people as a business by
As long
obtaining
as you
a
had
license.
yeah.
And then pleb can audit you at any moment. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's very much so like business licenses in real life. Like they could come and health and safety, blah, blah, blah. Then you have demi-humans. Demi-humans are half human, half something else from one of these realms. So like werewolves, changelings, jinn, like genies. They, whether it's your parents, like you're the result of a human and a supernatural being having a child, or you just come from a long line of them. Like shifters, for example, are just born into families. And it's less about like, oh, I'm Indian, so like I'm a were-tiger, and more like I live in India, so I'm a were-tiger. So that's why like shifters born in Tucson have a tendency to be shifters of Tucson animals. And shifters usually, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but they are usually pack-based mammals, like social mammals is the most common shifter.
Nope, you're fine.
And so they are not two things. They are just one person, but they're in, like you're a werewolf, so you can turn into a wolf man and you're also human. They cannot obtain licenses to use their powers because they are not considered human. They do not have enough human in them. They were born what they are. Then you have the dual-natured. Those are shamans like Mason and digital, like the admin. You are one soul split between two entities. The one entity living in one of the other realms, and then you living in the human realm. And that's kind of, and like again, like you could be primal, orphic, nether, fae, of those things. And then there's pure soups. So like if you are,
Sorry, real quick, with the last one, with it being a split soul, do you just appear human in the current realm? Like, so like you wouldn't be eligible for plebe, but you also wouldn't like be less rights like a shifter. Like,
yes, so within the world, pleb doesn't really know what to do with them because like they are technically a supernatural creature, right? Because they are intrinsically tied with a supernatural creature, but they are also human fully. Because like without your supernatural side, you have no power. Like they can't do magic. I mean, I guess dual-natured fae would be able to do magic, but like as a general rule, but like they're also incredibly, so like shaman, for instance, that's classified as a religion, not like a thing you can be. So you can't obtain a license to be a shaman because it's just a religion.
Okay.
But like example of like a digital, like how do you prove that you have a digital self when you can't go see it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just wrote a really good AI program that doesn't make you a magical being. You know what I mean? Like
Also might be a good cover.
and also depending on how far away, like if your other half is infernal, it takes a lot of energy to bring that infernal self into the physical realm. So the most common dual-natured people are orphics or primal dual-natured because it's right there.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to bring them over. And then fae have always their own agendas. So even though you share a soul, like it's like, well, why should I help you? You know what I mean? And the same thing with like nether creatures. They're very, I want this. This is what I want. You know. The one thing that all dual-natured people, they have the abilities of their other half. So like if you're paired with like, again, a puka, you can shapeshift like your puka self can by borrowing that ability. And then you can also what's called overlap with your other self, where you kind of take on a demi-human thing where you like you wear your other self and like that enhances your strength and whatnot. So again, dual-natured are considered the most dangerous because like if they don't have their other self manifested, they can pass for human. You know what I mean? Like there's no way of really telling what they are, and they can escape to another realm, and so it's impossible to imprison them. So
I'm just
like
gonna go where my other nature is.
pleb prefers to just ignore them, and they're also the most rare. Because you have to come into existence at the exact same time as your other self does. You know what I mean? Like it's a thing. Like you came into existence at the same time as a demon. That's pretty rare. And then be tied across all those realms. You know what I mean? So they're the most rare out of all of them. And then there's pure soups. Now I didn't put them in the book because I think supernatural creatures. I mean, like there's arguments to be made for playing like a unicorn. You know what I mean, or whatnot, but I didn't include it because I was like, they would be the most powerful, and they're also not human even by their own standards.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were never born human. They probably aren't even from the material realm. The only exception to that is dragons. Dragons are born in the material realm, but they're not born as humans. They can just take human forms. In the book, there's a character named Matthew who's a Baku, which is a kind of tapir-like dream creature from Japan.
Mhm.
And he is made of dream stuff, so he can take on a human body, but it's not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it feels real, like, but that's not what he looks like at all.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So my question to you guys is like, what in those categories like appeals to you? Like, what kind of character do you think you would want to play in this world? And we can discuss it, and then I can go and write rules for those things. Thoughts, questions, concerns. That's where we're opening it up to.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to think of like, what would it make sense for Paige?
Oh no, you don't have to say.
Well, isn't that what we're?
No,
No,
we're
no,
not-
no, no, no.
We're not translating.
This is gonna just be its own miniseries.
Oh, its own. I
Yeah.
thought the transition at the end
No.
of Vecna was a transition into the miniseries.
No, because that's a world with no magic.
Okay, that's why I was very confused.
I'm sorry. No, not at all. This is completely, and like I said, we'll probably do 3, maybe 4 episodes of this, just enough to promote the book, and I can post it on social medias and stuff.
Yay. I probably shouldn't play Zoe. 'Cause that would, that would.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, can we play the main characters in the book, or do we have to specifically not?
I mean, you could. It is a possibility. I just have to set it in a theoretical, like before
Parallel
the event
world.
of the book.
Well, I
what do
mean,
you
we
want
could've-
us to do.
Well, I was just saying, like, I want to have content that is like, this is a game played in this world, you know,
Got it.
but not necessarily like a plot of the book.
I think it would be fun to be some kind of shifter. Because I don't know that I always play a shifter. I'm like, I've never played a shifter. And yes, I shift all the damn time.
Well, just keep in mind that demi-humans, like, there's, you know, like they run the gamut of all of those realms.
Right.
So, like,
right.
and they're all technically shifters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
So now it's like, and I like the idea of having the visual of the, I don't know, concentric circles in my brain that are just coming down to the material plane. The
Okay.
material world. Yes.
So confused. Like, now I get it.
Yay.
Except they're not necessarily
No, I know.
yeah, like they're more like circle. They're very
Yeah.
separate as you
Yeah.
go, but yeah.
Okay.
In the second book, which has not even been edited yet, so it's very far from being released, there's a whole like TED talk about the realms.
Yep.
To a room full
My
of
TED Talk.
vampires.
I wonder if we should include a visual in the book.
If I can figure out how to do that, I'd
Yeah.
like to.
Okay. So having some kind of, I don't know, I think aware would be fun to play. I don't know that I've played that before. And then being, if we're playing it in, it's still Tucson based, right? So then, okay, my brain went to Were Rabbit.
Hares are one of the most popular shifters in Tucson.
Hair.
So, but I feel like that also feels like a Herringon kind of thing. And I don't, oh my God, I'm a were tortoise.
Oh.
You would be very rare. Like you probably wouldn't have other were-tortoises.
Oh no, that's right, because we're doing mammalian pack groups.
There are shifters that are not mammals. They're just the most common.
Okay.
So like
Well, then that would probably
the-
be the easiest also to create or to build for. So, okay.
I don't. I
What do you
mean,
think about it?
Ninja Turtles comes to mind. But the
How
most,
useful am I going to be as a tortoise, though, when I shift into my... Oh no, I'm on the side of the road. Somebody picked me up. Oh!
the most common shifters in Tucson are
The javelina.
the javelina,
Uh-huh.
the hares,
The hares.
the coyotes, and the
Coyote.
pack rats.
Okay. Coyotes. I kind of like the pack rats.
You could live in Catalina High School.
There we go.
So they're infested.
I will be a were pack rat.
And like demi-humans, especially primal
They're working on it,
shifters,
so yeah.
they usually stay in the broom closet.
Okay.
Because like if your boss finds out you're a shifter,
Yeah.
they can fire you.
Yep.
So like the hares, they go to great lengths to offer jobs to shifters, and they haven't come up in the story yet, but I'm assuming the pack rats would do similarly.
Sure.
So
My knee jerk was dual nature technological realm.
we don't explore that character very much in the book. So if you wanted to,
Is he
Great.
dual nature in the book too?
yeah,
or-
he's
Yes.
a dual
Oh,
nature
okay.
digital. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a it's not Cooper, but he has a computer that basically I can't remember his computer.
Let me look.
Anyway, it's a play off of Theodore. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I was thinking of that realm because I think for one, yeah, that would be one of the realms that totally makes sense as far as like being born in either the late 80s through the 90s to the early 2000s. You could be created at the same time as
As
this
a
piece of
computer
technology.
kid,
Yeah. And also the fact that it would be like harder to detect. I like playing the characters that kind of like fit into the world. Like I like my Kelvins.
Mhm.
So I kind of like that idea of being able to fly under the radar and just like work in IT, but be doing all this research on the technological realm in the background, with it being like a new space that like his passion is trying to learn more about it.
I think I
The
prefer
computer's
to
name
turn.
is Teddy.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I'm like, I could have sworn it was Teddy. So you are a computer shaman? I think I prefer the term digital wizard. Or my unofficial title, the admin.
Mm.
I don't want to get bogged down with any particular nomenclature.
But so like just to be aware, like that means like your other self can't cross over. You know what I mean? It would be fully in another realm. He would live in the internet. So it'd be like having a super good Siri.
yeah. I'm pretty cool with that. I feel like is there kind of like some options to do some like, oh Jesus,
I know this fly is.
I know
New cast member.
Like, so if there's like a keypad lock, would I have an opportunity to like interact with that to be able to like use it, or like,
If it's connected to the internet itself, 100%. Even if it's on like a private network,
Mhm.
because he can then, because like your computer self, the internet is a physical realm that he traverses.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So like it's like if you were held up a cell phone close enough to it, he might even be able to physically jump
between
from your Wi-Fi to it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. So like yeah, but it's very new, you know. So it'll be fun to write that stuff. Because they work like shamans, except they only the internet. You know what I mean? So like at that same token, you could also probably talk to the spirit of that keypad lock and convince it to let you in. You know what I mean? Because like whereas like the primal realm and like shamans, they can also do that. They can talk to the primal of the keypad lock, but the more advanced technology something is, the less solid it is, because it's
Mhm.
technically made up of a bunch of little stuff.
yeah,
So it has less of a spirit. So primal, like the higher technology something becomes, shamans have harder times with them, whereas you would have easier time. But
reverse.
technically, like if a hammer had a Wi-Fi signal, you could technically talk to that hammer. You know what I mean? Like
You
I
could talk
love
to
the
my
idea
friend.
of- I love the idea that everybody thinks that he's just like super into like high technology because he has smart absolutely everything in the house. Like, every single piece in the house is smart. Like he has a smart hammer.
Well, and like also like your ability to interface with technology is far beyond the average person. So like you're like just by nature of who you are, you could build like an automated turret. You know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily need to know how to physically do that because your digital self can be like, okay, well, connect this here,
Eight
connect
different
that there.
articles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you just have all of human knowledge just right there next to you, and you share a soul with it.
I see that. This is. I like this.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like having an information spirit that, and like you can talk to all technology. So hammer is technically technology. It's just like it talks so slow, and you know what I mean. Like it would be the opposite of primal.
And to a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
It's
So.
like a nail.
I like that.
Anybody else have questions, comments, concerns?
I kind of want to be a witch.
Yay!
Which?
Yes.
That one.
Me.
Technically, within again because it's a game. Post-human, if you're unaligned with none of the realms, I have it down as wizard, right? So you have natural magic, but you're not connected to any other realm. You would still, so like a wizard, the difference between a wizard and a witch is a wizard still does runes, but they just summon them naturally. So like you would have like runes, like you inherently understand runic magic and you can do it on the fly. So it's dubious whether you're a post-human or not, because it's like, okay, is he just really good at runic magic, or is this a natural gift that he has?
Inheritability.
So you would be the absolute highest to be employed by pleb. You know what I mean? Like it would be like, okay, as long as he keeps it under wraps and like makes a, like, oh yeah, I'm drawing with this wand, I'm drawing the rune, I'm just that good at magic. And then you have animists who are tied to the primal realms. You do magic similar to like the primal spirits. Muse, like I said, would be the Orphic. Or like if you're tied more to the Nether, you find necromancy really easy to do. Witches are tied to the Fae. And then if you had similar magic to if you did magic around technological things, you would be considered a hacker. But witch they just can do magic naturally.
I think like the first one, like the
Wizard.
Yeah,
Wizard. You're a wizard, Hank.
wizard Harry.
You're a wizard, Henry.
You're a wizard, Henry. Use the force, Henry.
And I wrote her for you, so if you want to play Thea.
Yay!
I mean, I do.
You should.
I wouldn't mind trying the puka, I guess, if you'd rather. I guess I'm just like, whatever your preference is.
I mean, like I said, I wrote her for you, so if you want to play Thea, I will never stop you.
Okay.
And it must be good for promotion if the main character.
Honestly, I
in
think
the
that
story.
would. Yeah. That would be good.
That's a good point.
I think that would be.
And then I can play Mason.
Okay.
Yay! All right. Who's knows him?
Well, I would also play Mason.
What?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of who I'd want to play.
Be a puka.
Remind me of the puka again.
Well, so a puka would be a pure fae. So you would either play a dual natured who's tied to a puka, or a demi-human who is half puka.
Daddy issues.
I could do that. How
But
would
it's up
that
to
work?
you. I mean, you would just basically. So the difference is like as a dual nature, you would have to spend energy to bring over your other half
Mhm.
or borrow its power, and then you would get access to your shapeshifting. Whereas if you're dual nature, you would just be a natural shapeshifter. You wouldn't be able to do it as fast as like a natural full blood puka, but you would be considered what's called a changeling. You are the child of a fae or a human, or come from a
Santa?
long line of hybrids.
Oh
Okay.
God! Please don't be better than
Maybe
you.
Santa's son, maybe?
There you
Santa
go.
is not a puka.
What is
We're
a
gonna
puka?
have.
Puka is a tricksy fae creature who they shapeshift. They just tricks your
Okay.
spirits.
You were saying?
There's a puka in the book. That's why people keep saying. I use it as an example. So
We have a dual nature already and a shifter already.
demi-human, yeah.
Demi-human.
Post-human.
I also want to be something that is not represented yet.
Unfortunately, unless you want to play just a normal human, everything is represented. And as great as normal humans are, they're inherently not as good as being
I mean,
supernatural.
You could be a runic. So somebody who is human but has studied.
Mm-hmm.
You and
Magic.
Hank could both work for pleb.
I was gonna ask, like, I could be an IT person for pleb that's just like not out.
Yeah. In the room closet.
Yeah. They're system administrators.
There's something to be said about being the second fiddle to Hank because I'm just not as fast with it.
I mean, but you could also be an invoker, where you've made a pact. Now, human sentiment is based on who you make a pact with. Celestial invokers, people love those guys.
Okay.
I talk to angels. Fucking Christians love them. Right? Infernal invokers, that's the cultists.
Not a cold trend.
But I'm sure very popular in like the death metal scene.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
You know,
I'll be hilarious.
like Nether invokers. You know what I mean? Like I summon the power of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is my patron.
Like, oh.
So,
I just get Apple stock every month. It's like a thing. I don't just show up.
just so I'm curious about the world there.
Please ask questions.
When things go to Nether, you say eventually they disappear.
Yes.
So, if your patron was Steve Jobs, eventually your patron would disappear.
That was a joke. You would probably associate yourself with something that was natural to the Nether, like a Reaper.
Like a concept. Like
Yeah,
that.
or like one of the wraiths who have existed for so long that they have a lot of power. Like Hades, you know what I mean, who is both a celestial, infernal, and nether being. You know what I mean? Like, because if you think about it, Jesus Christ is both a celestial being and an orphic being because
Yeah,
humans
superstar.
believe in him. So there's an orphic Jesus and then there's celestial Jesus.
Jesus was.
I mean, you could be an invoker of Mickey Mouse. Because Mickey Mouse is huge in the Orphic realm.
I have a lot of belief and a lot of feelings about Mickey Mouse.
All of the Disney adults.
I worship him.
It's really powerful invokers.
I kind of like the idea of a celestial invoker, but that's just like sick of the high regard. It's like no, they're annoying.
Well, there's in the book there's a celestial invoker, and this is I won't say, but like he has to play lip service. Like, you know what I mean? Like if that celestial being is like, I need you to go and buy a coffee on Tuesday at 3 p.m. All of your power is based on completing that task. And you might have no idea why. And then you show up and it's being held up at gunpoint and you have to stop the robbery. You know what I mean? Like they are distant. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah, I kind of like that idea of like, no, stop looking up to them. They're annoying. They speak in riddles. Nothing is fucking direct or makes sense. So like, avoids churches. Any mention of a cult, he's like, no.
well, and also can remember, celestial is very broad.
Mhm.
So I mean, you could be a celestial of like the old Babylonian gods, or the Norse gods, or the Greek gods,
Oh, the
or
North gods would be fun.
unicorns, or like, you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
anything that is considered static. You know what I mean? Like you could technically be a celestial invoker of like a primeval forest. You know what I mean? Because like, again, like it's very broad, these categories. It's just how far away your power comes.
So that
Usually an invoker is to a god, but it can also be a concept. Like technically, the god of lightning is both Thor and, you know what I mean, Zeus. Like technically, there's just a god of lightning, but you can interpret that as Zeus,
Mm-hmm.
right? But really, in the celestial realm, there's just a god of lightning. Just like in the infernal realm, there's a devil of the absence of lightning.
The devil of devil.
Yes, the destruction wrought by lightning, because one is the beginning creation, one is the destruction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an invoker of, can I say like the Norse god family?
Pantheon.
You would, I mean, yeah, you could be like, that means you're playing lip service to a bunch of gods.
maybe pick one.
My brain said 3.
Which ones? The Norns?
Odin, Loki, and Thor.
There's a lot of strife between those three
Oh,
guys.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Lot of
Just for the simplicity of this, could you pick one of those three?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Now do I go Thor or Loki?
Your choice.
Odin is overrated.
Because Loki's not an evil character.
He's just
No, but
chaotic.
he's just the
It's
god
chaotic.
of mischief.
I have. Sorry to cut you off or
No, go
like
ahead.
jump in. I don't know how this would work, but my brain is thinking something funny of like. You say that like you're an invoker of Odin, but you're actually an invoker of his two birds, Hugin and Munin. And so
Oh.
like it's actually them, not the god.
Or his eye.
Yeah.
His eye, the second entity
That's
within
true.
Norse mythology.
His
Or you think that you're an invoker of God, but you've actually been an invoker of Loki the entire time.
Or you find out that you're actually just an invoker of a concept of chaos, and it's not Loki at all. You know what I mean? Like, because like that's how kind of like the celestial realms are so far away that if you're an invoker of a celestial being, it chose how it approached you. You know what I mean? Like, so like, oh yes, I approach you as Loki, but I'm actually just unbridled chaos.
But I knew you would accept Loki, therefore.
I like the idea of Loki, but he tells people that it's for Odin, Odin's son, Loki, Odin's son.
Well, so keep in mind, in actual Norse mythology, Loki is Odin's brother.
Did I know that?
Yeah, so in actual Norse mythology, Loki and Odin are brothers. Loki ate an entire pie of the fruit that keeps them young, became a baby, and then was raised with Thor and the other children. But he has always been
that's
Odin's
funny.
brother.
Did not know that.
The
Yeah.
pie that made him young.
So he's technically Thor's
Uncle.
within actual Norse mythology. And Thor also has a bunch of brothers, Hod, Hoder,
Mhm.
Balder.
All right, I'm okay with this.
Balder might be a great choice.
Balder?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because as an invoker of Balder, Balder is not, he is a god of light, music, poetry, but also Frigga, his mother, made everything on earth promise not to harm him. So as an invoker, you could pull on that power and like bullets would just like come at you and then just go the other way.
That'd be so fun.
Except for mistletoe. Mistletoe is the only thing, that's how they killed Balder. Is mistletoe refused to promise. Or she forgot to ask it. It's ambiguous. So the only thing that could harm you is mistletoe.
Sure, let's do that.
As long as you're in Baldur's good graces. And Baldur's is kind of a nice guy. So he's a Jesus-like figure in Norse mythology.
Okay. An invoker of Balder.
Baldur. Any further questions or like backstory stuff we want to go through? Thea is pretty established in the context of the story.
I would hope so.
That's the main character.
Is this happening before or after?
I would assume it would happen before.
So just one of the hijinks and adventures that took place before the timeline of the first book. Okay.
But after we're all out.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be after.
Yeah, it's after the pleb exists. You know what I mean? Like it might be just like the year before the events of the book. You know what I mean? Because like Unseen Forces, which is the group that Thea, like it's her business, has existed for a while.
Cool. I feel like one of us comes to Thea with a problem.
Yeah, does anyone want to work for pleb of the two mostly humans?
Yeah.
You want to work for
I'm
pleb?
down.
Ah,
I
Pleb
kind of
battle.
like the idea of pleb IT.
pleb IT.
Pleb it.
As an invoker, do you want to work for pleb or do you want to be separate?
Should I?
It's up to you. I mean, like, it's. Do you want to have an office job where you're basically in the FBI, or do you want to do your own thing?
What would
I'd love
Balder
to be
do?
like an investigator or pleb,
Okay.
where it's
So
like
we have pleb versus non-pleb.
The lowly human.
Me too.
Girl, aren't we all?
Raise your hand if you're actually human.
Steaming.
Only one of you is correct. Jake.
So post-human isn't like inclusive of human.
Post-human means that you are not considered humans. You do have more rights than the rest of them. Like you can work and practice and be open as a magic user.
But you're a
Uh-huh.
step down from
But-
human.
No one's gonna step in and stop them from kicking you out of your apartment if they want to.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like being bisexual. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you're basically just straight.
No, I'm not.
Well, but you're in a straight relationship, so
But
you're straight.
so I am human though.
As an invoker, you are human.
Do I have any physical features that
I mean, when you
Funny.
use your patron's abilities, those would manifest as magic
Okay.
or like supernatural, as celestial by nature,
Mhm.
but you are borrowing that power.
Okay.
Like, that power does not come from you. If Balder decides you're not doing what I want you to do anymore, you would go right back to being human.
Okay.
Like, it's like being a warlock, except in D&D, apparently if your patron decides to take your power away, you keep your power. I don't know.
Okay.
I guess there could be an invoker that steals their power through like runic magic. I guess that would just make them runics though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've thought of most scenarios in the world, just not all of them. Yes, Hank?
I'm just thinking, just weird situations, like a invoker that's blackmailing their patron. But it's like, how much shit would you have to be able to blackmail someone?
It depends. I mean, like, if you were to blackmail a wraith of shame, that would be particularly easy. You know what I mean? Like, just find out whatever that core reason they feel shameful is and leverage that against them. And you're the power in that dynamic.
Catholic guilt.
Yeah. So, like, I wouldn't necessarily consider that a viable character because the entire point of the invoker is that, like, you have to be in favor of your patron.
Yeah.
But from a literary world perspective, that's 100% something that could exist.
Yeah.
And that's why when we were outside, I was like, yeah, my system's pretty soft because, like, there's hard rules, but, like, what's possible is very soft.
Yeah.
Because technically you could be a demi-human who is half fae and half primal. You know what I mean? Like, if your dad was a werewolf and your mom was a changeling, you could technically be primal changeling. You know what I mean? Those are called hybrids. They're very rare, but it's possible to be two things based on who your parents were.
What was the professor again?
Professor Woolley?
Yes.
He was a full soup. He was an Orphic soup called a mare.
This Professor Woolley.
He's
Who talks very loud.
yes, because he's an invisible. He's a sleep paralysis demon.
You gotta meet Professor Woolley. Okay.
He uses an illusion to show up as a giant anthropomorphic sheep because he's technically invisible. Like, his body cannot be perceived. So he uses illusion magic to appear as a giant sheep. And he feeds by sitting on people's chests at night and making them paralyzed. Like, that's how he eats.
Sleep paralysis.
It's just like the Flintstones, just like, a guy's gotta eat.
And there's some, like, fun soups that I explored too. Like, the chupacabra is technically a supernatural creature. Whether it's Orphic or not, I don't know.
It's been primal the whole time. And it's incredibly powerful because there's so many. Like, we just are not aware.
Well, like, what I love about, like, the concept behind the primal is, like, ants, super powerful totem, only cares about ant stuff. You know what I mean? Like, ants goes like, you want me to do what? Get you food? Feed it to the queen? You know what I mean?
Bees.
So it's not a very useful spirit companion because they only care about ant stuff.
Which also makes sense why a dog or a cat would be. Yeah. Dogs seem to care more about people's stuff.
Well, like Mason's animal his spirit companion is a dog. You know what I mean? So, like, he's very wise and but he also loves whipped cream in a cup.
His pup cup.
His pup cups, he loves them. He likes chasing squirrels. You know, he's still a dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just
Love knows some.
also a spirit.
Knows some.
Any other questions?
Think I'm good.
I will write up what powers you guys have. Again, it's going to be a very soft game system.
Cool.
Like, how magic works is basically like, well, you tell me what you do, and then we'll roll for it. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like, and then all of you will have energy. Jake, unfortunately, you'll be the only. So, like, you know how, like, changelings have, like, word that they can add to things? You will not have that because you are human.
Okay.
So there's like tiers of power. But as an invoker, you could technically become very, very powerful if your favor is strong.
Yeah.
So
I think that was, in my brain, makes perfect sense because of who Balder is.
Mm.
Just the like hands in the pocket, shit's going on, and he just keeps walking, just chills. Vibes.
Balder's also kind of like the spoiled brat of the Norse pantheon.
Okay.
He's very arrogant and full of himself because everything loves him. You know what I mean? Like literally rocks, trees, plants, everything loves him.
And then when things don't go my way, I get bitchy. Oh, and then my character will too.
Yay!
I mean, you could really just turn into a were-rat. But
No, I want to have a messenger bag full of just random shit.
I mean, that could be a personality trait.
Yeah.
But if somebody were to point out, oh, because you're a pack rat, it's like, well, that's racist. I don't collect things just because I'm a pack rat. You know what I mean? Like,
It is useful, and I might need it in 5 years.
well, that's my favorite thing about shifters is like, oh, you're a dog shifter. That's why you like, like chasing after people. It's like, well, that's racist.
I just live an active lifestyle.
I, being a pack rat and working in IT, are you guys going to be okay together? Because you destroy IT stuff.
Well, I like to tunnel, and I like
Again,
to grow, and...
racist.
So racist.
I have a very locked down facility. I mean,
Plus, his computer could attack back.
when you go to buy the wire, and it's like, no.
That aside, that's so cute that you think pack rats couldn't get into something.
Yeah.
but wait, you put a-
user. Could you empty out the wall? It's filled with dead pack rats. Empty out the pack rat.
Your recyclable.
Would you like to empty back?
Just like a chute opens.
Margaret, please face the other direction.
I like the thought that like whenever your thing is like ask you for confirmation, it's literally a window that pops up and like you have to tap OK, or and like your finger turns into a mouse as you hover over it. Like,
A little pointer.
yeah.
It's got a great sense of humor.
Why don't you hit don't show this message again?
Yeah. Do not show
I
this.
would never.
That's his literal other
It's
self.
taking away his agency. Reach me.
I don't
It's
know,
fine.
man.
I
But
thought
he
you
gives
put
you-
me on Do Not Disturb last night.
But it gives you that option every time.
What were you doing? Oh no! And the first time that it clicks no, it's like that's it. That's cutting out the power and like clicking. Like, get on.
Well, because like as a dual-natured person, like you hear each other's thoughts. You are each other. You know what I mean? Like it's two bodies, one soul. Like you are the same being. You don't necessarily all agree on everything. You know what I mean? Just like you can have conflict within your own mind, but like it's very intimate. And like I often struggle. I mean, I'm just talking at this point, but I often struggle because like dual-natured and demi-human is like a very thin difference. You know what I mean? It's like one body, one soul. Well, because like demi-humans, especially with shifters, it's almost like one body, two souls.
Mhm.
Because like shifters often describe like their animal self as being a separate
Right.
thing within them, whereas like dual nature is two bodies, one soul.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But they're both born to it. It's just
Mhm.
like I guess it's different from being like twins and mixed race. I don't
That's racist.
What?
I don't know. I'm joking.
I'm just saying, if you're half human, half werewolf, like
Yeah.
it's biracial,
By species.
by special.
By speciest.
That all sounds exhausting.
But I mean, really, by you're just one. You know, you're really just straight. It's fine.
Well, like
God damn it.
so, like you could be dual natured, where your other half is just another human.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they're called soulmates, and like they're literally just two humans that across all distances they're still connected, like sensate. You know what I mean? Like, so like that's also a possibility where you're just two people in one and share a soul.
You finish each other's.
Sandwiches.
Eventually.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yay. It'll be good.
I have to come up with this plot now.
Eventually.
Eventually.